Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? I hope you are good and doing well. So, in the last lecture, we just defined the user saved model and we defined the association of this model with a user and job to implement the many to many relationship. And we also add button with certain conditions on the jobs index page to allow user to save the job. Okay, but right now you can see that this job is not functioning. If you go to the browser and you click on the button, okay, let me reload the page. Okay, if you click on the button, nothing will happen. Why? Because this link is not in functional mode right now. Okay, so what we need to do to make it functional, that we need to create a controller, okay, that will accept a request from the user, and it will create a user saved job for the user who press the save job button, and it will store the record into the database. Okay, so we need to do this here. Okay, so now what we need to do first, go to the project file. Okay, and then in the controllers you need to define a controller. First, minimize this user and company's controller and create a new directory here, a new file here, and name this file as, let's say, user saved jobs controller. Okay, dot rb. And now let's define this class user saved jobs controller. Okay, and then inherit it via application controller. Okay, and make it. And here we need to make one more condition. Let's say before action authenticate user. Okay, because no unauthenticated user or no user who is signed not do not signed into the system can perform action on this controller. Okay, and here we need to make an action. Let's say def create. Okay, and then now go to the routes, and in the routes what we need to do, that we need to define the resources user saved jobs. Okay, and then in the user saved jobs controller we need to implement this create action. Okay, so since user will be signed in, okay, so what we need to do here, that we need to accept some params like the job id, and the user we will get it as the current user, because without signing into the system user cannot perform this action. So we can easily get the current user. Okay, but we need the attribute which is the job id. Okay, so what we will do here, that at the rate saved job equal to, sorry, current user dot user saved jobs dot new. Okay, and then job as params job id. Okay, here you can provide job id. Okay, or we can simply provide the uuid of the job. So we need to find the job here. So at the rate job equal to job dot find by uuid, and then params id, job id. Okay, and here we can provide, let's say, job id is equal to at the rate job dot id. Okay, and then if at the rate saved job dot save. Okay, if it is saved, then redirect to, let's say, jobs path as of now, and we will refactor it later. Okay, so here we implemented this create button. So what it will do, that first we need to pass the jobs uid as the params job id. Okay, and then we need to find that job within the controller. Okay, and then we will instantiate a current user saved job. Okay, so for current user we do not need to pass the user id here, and the job id we will get this from at the rate job. Okay, and then we will save this record into the database, and if it is saved, then we will redirect it to the jobs path. Okay, so let's make it, and first add the debugger here. debugger, so that we can get the result here. Okay, now what we need to do, since we created the route for user saved jobs controller, sorry, user saved jobs resource in the routes here, here you can see user saved jobs. Okay, so let's see what routes we have. Okay, because it will be basically user saved jobs path. Okay, but if you want to see that how many route it has created, so you can just go to the terminal and then rails routes grab and then your resource name. Okay, so it will show you the routes. So the post route we need, so it is the user saved jobs. Okay, so just copy this and then come to this button or at the index path index.html.erb, and here what we will do, user saved jobs path. Okay, and then what we need to do here now, we need to make it data, sorry, data turbo method post. Okay, because we are sending the turbo request in the turbo stream, so data turbo method post. Okay, and then you need to provide the argument here, which is job id as the job.uuid. Okay, now save this and go to the browser and refresh the page. Okay, if you will refresh the page and inspect this button to see that what path it is creating, so here you can see that it is creating the path data turbo method post, and the url is user saved jobs, job id is showing as the uuid of the job. Okay, now let's close the inspect and restart your server just to get the debugger working, because sometimes debugger not work in already running server. Okay, now what you need to do, you need to click on this save job button. Okay, you can see you click on this button and you go to the browser, you can see that the debugger halted our execution in the create method. Okay, now let's see what the params we are getting. So you can see that in params you are getting the job id. Okay, and controller is user saved jobs and action is created, sorry, create. Okay, now let's find this job. So if you go to the next step or next command, you will be on at the red job. Okay, now go to the next. Okay, so you are at the at the red saved jobs. Okay, so here you can see at the red job what you are getting. So you can see that this is the job object that you are getting, and now match this with the browser. So this is the job title, customer community service coordinator, and applicable for intermediate, salary range greater than $10,000, total position 5, and this is the company id. Or in the bottom left you can see that the company id is 2. Okay, now go to the terminal to verify. So this is the job title, this is correct, this is the salary range, this is the total position, and this is the company id. Okay, and this is the uuid that we saw in the inspect element. Okay, so we are getting the correct jobs here. Okay, now if you go to the next step, you can see we are at the rate saved jobs. So now our saved job will be initialized here. Okay, so we can just inspect it. So here you can see id is nil, job id is 1, and user id is 2000. Okay, why? Because this is taking the current user id. Okay, or you can verify it via current user dot id, current user dot id, so you will get it 2000. Okay, so this is fine. Now what we are doing, that we initialize the saved job, and now we need to see that whether this job is valid or not. Okay, so you can see it like at that saved job dot valid, so it is valid true. Okay, that means all the validation pass. However, if we do not have any validation, we just needed the job id and the user id. Okay, so we are good to create this job. Okay, and if you exit from the, or you continue the execution from the debugger. Okay, you can see that it has created a user saved job record for you. Okay, and here you can see the job id is 1, user id is 2000. Okay, that means that the user job, a saved job has been created now. Okay, and it is saved into the database, and after successfully execute saving this record into the database, what happened, that we are again redirected on the jobs index page that we write the code here. So redirect to jobs path, and now we are in the jobs index page. Okay, but here you can see that it is still showing the save job button here, but it should not be visible here. Why? Because this job has been saved already by user. Okay, so this record is added to the favorite job for the user, so it should not show the saved job button here. Okay, so what we need to do here, that we need to check that if this job is present within the user's saved job. Okay, now let's see that. Go to the terminal. Okay, run the rails console. Okay, we just need to check whether we have the user's job on saved or not. So user equal to user dot find 2000. Okay, and then user dot jobs. So you can see that this user's job, this job has been saved as the user into the user jobs. Okay, so now we need to add some condition here, so that the already saved job should not show the save button into the index.html.erb of saved jobs. Okay, so here we need to add a condition, and current user jobs dot include job, and not, if it is not included into the jobs list of the user, okay, then only it should show this saved job. Okay, so if you go to the browser and now you refresh the page, you will see that this button is not showing because it is already saved. Okay, so we need to add some condition here. So what condition we can add? Let's say just to remove this. Okay, and we can add, if current users dot job dot include job, then this should be visible in the else part if it is not included in the job list. So add the else part here, and then close this else part. Sorry, and this copy this link, and then here we can add remove from saved job. Okay, and then for now just keep it, let's say javascript void 0. Okay, and remove this data turbo post thing because we don't need that, and remove this outline. Okay, so here you can see that if user is signed in and current user is job seeker, okay, then we need to go into the another if, and here we need to check if this job is not already included into the user's favorite jobs, then we need to display the save job button, else we need to display this removed from saved job. Okay, so save it, and now if you go to the browser and refresh the page, you will see that this is showing the button like removed from saved job list or removed from saved job. Okay, and you can try this feature by whether it is working or not by saving another job. So first go to the controller, user saved jobs controller, and remove this debugger because we already checked this is working fine. Okay, so now just go to the browser, refresh the page, and let's save another job. For example, let's click on this job and edit as saved jobs. Click on this, you click this, the page has been refreshed, and you can see that this is the two jobs that user added it to the favorite list. Okay, now for example, let's click on another job, let's say, which is showing the 5000 to 10,000. Okay, if you click on this, you can see that this job is also displayed as the removed from saved job. Okay, so now saving job for the user or marking job as the favorite for the currently signed in user is working fine now. Okay, so we can just hold at this stage. Now in the next lecture, what we need to do, that we need to enable the functionality so that if user want to remove this job from the saved job, he can do that. Okay, so we will do this in the next lecture. Okay, but for now what we need to do, that whatever work we have done so far, we need to create a commit for this. Okay, because it's usually not a good practice to keep all of your changes into one file, into one commit. Okay, and then push it to the remote branch. Okay, rather whatever you work today, make a commit, okay, and whatever you work on the next day, make a separate commit for that, okay, since this feature should be long as compared to all of the features that we worked so far, okay, so we will separate it into multiple commits, okay, so whatever we work done, whatever the work we have done today or so far for this task, let's create a commit for that, okay. So go to the terminal, out of the console, and do git status, okay, and here you can see we created let's say git add, let's say config app and test and db, okay, save it, git status, okay, now let's create a commit, added user saved jobs with m2 m between user and jobs. Commit has been created. Now let's open the git ignore. Let me copy my token and then git push origin feature allow user to save job as favorite, okay, and then paste it, okay. Now we can just simply create a commit for this, so open this link, sorry, we can create a pull request for this, so open this link and create a pull request, okay. So the pull request has been created, and now you can go to the files changed, you can see there are 11 files that we changed. So we created this controller, we added create method here, okay, and then we add this line and sorry, I think I forget to hit that. So this is the job model. We defined association here. In the users model, we define association. We created this model and defined association, and we add these links on the index.html of job, and we define this route and this migration and so on. Okay, and you can see the schema.rb. So because you can see that the version has been changed. Why? Because we it depends upon the last migration that you run. It takes its timestamp as the version of the schema, okay. So this table has been added into the schema.rb, okay. So we done the half part of this task, okay. Now in the next lecture, what we need to do, that we will allow users to click on this button to remove this job from his favorite list, okay, and then we will create a dashboard where user can see all of his saved jobs, okay. But we will do these parts in upcoming lectures, okay. So that's all for this lecture. I hope you like this, and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.